Hi there, this is Alana bringing you several reasons why you might want to consider slowing down just a tiny bit now that we have reached the end of the year and we are bringing 2020 to a close. So, first reason, no surprises. It's been a hard year for the world. It's been a hard year for almost all of us personally. And sometimes we need to just acknowledge life is hard. We need to slow down, give ourselves a pat on the back. We made it. And that kind of brings me to point two for reasons to slow down is this idea of integrating success instead of just jumping from one project to the next and you finish one book and then you jump right to the next. We can absorb the fact and just kind of relish the fact that we have been productive. We have been prolific. Now, maybe you haven't been as productive and prolific as you are some years or as productive and prolific as you wanted to be, but you rose and met a bunch of challenges this year. And it is for sure worth giving yourself a little bit of time to debrief those, right? Instead of just jumping from project to project to project or from trial to trial to trial, which for some of us is what this past year has felt like, really encourage you to take a minute, think through things like what challenges did you overcome? What hardships did you face? What lessons did you learn? How could you have done better through some of them? What things are you proud of? These are great questions to ask yourself. And now is a really good time to dive into some of those kinds of questions. Another reason I would encourage you to just take a little time to reflect and slow down is to reconnect with your why. Why are you an author to begin with? Why do you have a drive to be prolific? Why are you doing what you're doing? Because sometimes we just get on autopilot. And once we start as creatives going on autopilot, that can turn into conditions where burnout or boredom might creep in. So I would encourage you, again, grab your journal or take a little bit of time to just think, why are you doing what you're doing? Has your why changed? Why do you feel passionate about what you're doing? And if you don't feel passionate, what might need to happen in order to help you find passion again? Maybe you're getting, like I said, a little bored, just doing the same old, same old. Go ahead and check in with your passion and your creativity and ask them, hey, what if you had all the freedom in the world to write anything you wanted to write? What would you be doing? And just take a listen, right? Sometimes we don't slow down enough to let really good ideas come to us. And so that's another reason to slow down, is just to allow for some white space where our mind can wander. We can ask those what if questions. What if I wrote in this genre? What if I wrote in this style? What if I shifted and pivoted, right? We're for sure allowed to pivot. And I think if it's been years since your creative journey has had any pivots and you're still writing the exact same kind of books in the exact same kind of style that you were writing 3 or 4 years ago, I'm going to guess that maybe you're feeling a little bit bored, or maybe your creativity is feeling a little bit bored, but maybe you don't feel like you've got the freedom to try new things. And you do. We can always pivot. We can always redefine ourselves. We can always rebrand. It's one of the amazing things about being in a creative industry like what we're doing. And sometimes we need to step back in order to listen to the ideas come to us. Another reason why I would encourage you to just slow down is to be more deliberate as we plan for next year. So some of us, like I said, we're sort of on autopilot. We're these book machines. And sometimes we want to just keep churning things out. But again, we want to reconnect with our why and go into next year really deliberately. Maybe you know you want to write 15 books next year. That's great, but why? And what I encourage you to do is ask that question until you get the deepest answer possible. So for example, I want to write a book a month. Why? Well, because that's what successful writers do. Why? Well, because I heard that somewhere. Why? Well, at that point, you have to kind of question, do you need a book a month? But maybe for you, it's, I want to write a book a month. And your why is because it's exciting for you and you're passionate about it and you're seeing good results with it and you want to continue on that and you want to monopolize on the trends. And as you keep on asking yourself, why, you keep getting deeper into the real reason why you're doing it. For most of us, making a full-time living as an author is a goal, but for most of us, that's not the driving why, right? So Maybe you ask yourself, why do I want to do this? And you get to, well, I want to be making a full-time living as an author. Why? Okay, so you can quit your job. Why? Is it because you hate your job, or is it because you want the freedom that comes? Or maybe it's just because you don't feel like you're legitimate until you are making a full-time living. Well, that's not a good enough reason, right? So sometimes not only do we need to question to reconnect with our why, sometimes we even need to question our why. Not everybody needs to make a full-time living as an author. Sometimes people are happier having their writing as a side thing that they can focus on for the creative joy, right? I'm here to teach you how to market your books. I'm here to teach you how to become full-time if you want to be. I'm here to teach you how to make a full-time living while doing part-time work, but not everybody needs to or even should quit the 9 to 5 if that's going to put creative stress and strain and struggle into the mix where it doesn't have to be. So again, we can always keep on asking the why, and one of two things is going to happen. Either you're going to discover that you kind of bought into a why that wasn't yours, right? Why do you want to be a rapid release author? Well, because someone said I should. Well, that's no reason. Or you'll get to the deeper why. Why do you want to be a full-time author? Well, because I saw my spouse struggling with how much they felt stuck in their job, and I want to be in a position where my spouse can retire and pursue the work they love just like I am, and we can travel and nurture our relationship and have all the freedom in the world. Okay, that's a why that most people would agree you can truly connect with. So giving yourself time this holiday season to really slow down, ask those questions. Sometimes we work really, really, really fast and really, really, really hard because we want to avoid those kinds of questions. So I encourage you, ask yourself, why are you doing this? And get to the real deepest why, and then question that and see what comes up. It's going to help you prepare, like I said, for a more deliberate year. And then another kind of benefit of slowing down, or something to just have in the front of your mind this time of year, is let's try to get rid of things that are not serving us well. I like to think about this as decluttering your schedule, right? Spring cleaning for your life. What things can you get rid of? What things do you hate? What things take up a lot of time and energy for very little return, right? Some people find audiobooks, for example, to fall into that. You've heard me before probably talking about how great audiobooks are, why it's a great time to have audiobooks. But you know what? There are some people who don't find it worth the time and the energy and the money. And so you don't need to focus on those things. So that's another way to become more deliberate as you're making plans for this year ahead, is to figure out what things have you been doing this year that aren't serving you well. And maybe this is also not necessarily writing things. Maybe you're spending too much time on whatever is distracting you from writing. Maybe social media has taken too big of a part of your life. Whatever it might be, what things can you let go of so that you have more time, energy, and I think most importantly, you have more mental space going into this coming year to do the things that really do move the needle, make a difference, and things that you enjoy. Another reason to just kind of step back, slow down a little bit, is to fill your creative well. Get some inspiration, read some great books, read outside of your genre, watch some movies, binge a Netflix series. All of these things are fun and relaxing, but they also are fueling our creativity, because none of us are creating stories out of nothing. We need input. Some of the creative input that is really, really good for our creative selves isn't even literature based. Maybe it's movies or music or painting or ballet, whatever it might be, watching a great production of A Christmas Carol, whatever fills you with creative inspiration now is a great time to be focusing on those things. So happy holidays to you. And I hope that this gives you some leeway to, without any guilt or stress, slow down, enjoy a nice holiday season, and we'll talk to you soon.